We are back for another week of the Wealth Cafe, and today we are going to be diving into another financial plan. I showed one a few weeks ago of a married couple who had two young children, and everyone was really excited to see the inside of what a financial plan actually looks like. And I'm sure there's some financial advisors that are not happy that I'm showing people what it actually looks like, but I find that one of the biggest discrepancies in the financial services industry and for financial planners, financial advisors, whatever people want to call themselves, is that no one really understands what a financial plan is. And don't get me wrong, every advisor or planner has their own process. So today I am going to give you an inside look to what I do during a recommendation meeting. And as we go through it, I will share some tidbits and backstory as to how my entire process works. I also wanted to show you a different plan and different family scenario today. So we are going to be joining the Carr family. And what's a little different about them is they are a 40-year-old married couple who love to spend and live a luxurious lifestyle. They are both high earners and really want to enjoy life to the fullest and chose not to have kids. There are so many people, especially in Gen X, millennials, who are choosing not to have children. So I want to give you an inside look to what that type of plan looks like. The needs are a little different because healthcare concerns come into play, right? A lot of people turn to their children to take care of them, no matter how you feel about it. That is something that we typically see. And so that becomes a big question mark as we are talking about planning. Also, do you want or have anybody in your life who you want to leave money to, right? It could be other family members, nieces, nephews, cousins, dogs, cats, you name it, or even also charitable organizations. And so we are going to take a look into the lives of the Carr family today. I will share with you that this is a fictitious family. This is based off of the many financial plans that I have made for different couples, and I created the Carr family based off of several different people that I have worked with, not one single family or person. And so I want to give you an inside look to them, and I will explain a little bit of backstory I had when putting this case study together. So I am going to share my screen here with you so that we can take a look into this financial plan. So I introduced to you Bill and Sharon Carr. So you will see we have a slight age gap here of about 5 years. And although that doesn't sound crazy, keep in mind men pass away earlier. So this additional 5 years is something we do need to consider and plan for Sharon, statistically speaking. We have two great earners here, both earning around 175 a year, and they live in California, which is a high tax state, which also comes into play here. Like I said before, they do not have any children that they are planning for or any relatives that they wanted to include in this plan. So let's take a look at their goals. So when it comes to their planning, Bill, because he is a little older, said that he would want to retire at 67, whereas Sharon would want to retire at 65. Now, here's what I want to note, because I have been seeing this happen and come up a lot recently, is that everyone, no matter when they are born, it seems like thinks that 65 is their full retirement age. If you are born after 1960, your full retirement age is actually 67. So I do keep Sharon's here at 65 because you can retire earlier, but if you're planning on accessing Social Security, you need to factor in then that you won't be able to access your Social Security at that time and will need to pull from other accounts. I have plenty of clients who want to retire early. So as we are having these conversations, I explain to them why we are funding or overfunding certain accounts, because I tell them we're going to need to pull from these accounts during those pre-Social Security years. We also know that Social Security is not your full retirement plan, but it is a factor that comes into play when we are going through a financial plan. So some of the goals that Bill and Sharon have. So as I mentioned before, they live a life of luxury. So they love to travel, are always off to a new destination, and they would love to own a boat. So that is a major purchase that they are looking at. However, they want to make sure and know that they are big spenders. It's something they are willing to trim a little bit now if it means that they are going to be safe during retirement and not run out of money. And so safe, I mean that they are going to be well cared for. medically, financially, because longevity is a big concern for the Carr family. They do not want to see themselves, filing bankruptcy or living in poverty during those final years. They want to maintain a standard of care. And if that means that they need to cut different areas of their life now or reallocate funds or even skip the boat purchase, this is something that they're willing to do. So when we are looking and building a financial plan, I have a conversation with clients that is called a 45-minute dream builder call. And in this call, we go through everything for every period of life that they want to accomplish. And I tell people, dream big. Tell me about the boat you want. Tell me about the type of healthcare you want to see during the end of your life. When you travel, are you traveling at, five-star resorts, or is it more, I just want to make sure I see X, Y, and Z. I don't care how I get there. There's no right or wrong answer. So during this dream builder call, I am collecting all of the information that you are seeing here. So when we go through the recommendation meeting, which would be what you are seeing now, I also like to talk through with clients, does this amount feel right? Do you need a $300,000 boat, or is it more of a $50,000, $100,000 ticket? I kept it at 3. The Carrs, I said, like to live big, so we'll see where it goes from there. The other thing too to consider is that healthcare. Healthcare costs are incredible, especially during retirement. And because the Carrs don't have any loved ones that would be able to take care of them, they also want to make sure that they are set up. And this is something that we are factoring in and is a priority. So when we look at needs, wants, and wishes, needs are the things that have to happen. And I have a lot of people that say, oh, I don't need to retire. At some point, your body will say it is time to retire. So we do want to prioritize this. Over everything else, we do need to have retirement savings for when your body says, or when you say, it's time, we need to pause. After that comes the wants, the things that are really important to us, whether it's travel, sending kids to college if you have them, making sure you can buy a home, a second home. But then there's also then the wishes, right? Like how cool would it be if we had a boat, or if we could buy a second home or an investment property? And so when the plan is pulling all this data together, it is factoring in, okay, are we first fulfilling all of our needs? Then are we fulfilling all of the wants? We'll dive into this a little later too as we get into the plan, so don't worry. So here you can see what it looks like. Some people actually do go in and they pull their updated social security numbers for me. It's a little bit tricky, especially when you are this far away from retirement, which I know sounds crazy when they are 40, but they do have over 25 years until retirement. So if they both retire at 67, here's what it would look like for their retirement benefits, $2.5 million. Now, this number could go up, right? It's based off of your earnings as you are in those final years leading into retirement. But there's also plenty of time in that 25 years for the landscape of Social Security to change. That's why I have this conversation with clients, and we usually agree to leave it here because, yeah, the number could go up, but also due to changes politically or economically, we could see that number drop. So this is usually a safe place for us to sit. In the meeting before the recommendation meeting that we're looking at now, I do what's called a discovery meeting and a cash flow meeting. They're two separate events. So in the cash flow meeting, we go through how they manage their money. I literally sit down with clients and I'm like, there's no wrong or right answer. I just want to get into your head. I want to see how you manage your money, how you spend your money, and how you think about your money. Before that, we also do a discovery meeting and we go through everything that they have financially. I'm talking and I give everybody a list. It's called the document checklist. And I say, I want to know every credit card, every statement that you have from every investment account, 401k, bank account. I want to see them all. And so that is where I have collected all of the information from if they were a real client. So for Bill and Sharon, they have their 401ks they haven't really contributed to, and they've admitted that they are behind in this, and it's something that they want to prioritize. They also have a joint account, and what's important here is that I assign how I want these funds to be used. It's not just, hey, here's a pocket of money. Not every amount and pile of money is used for the same thing, right? We're not going to use our 401k at age 40 to go out tomorrow and buy a boat. Okay, you might, however, due to taxes and penalties, it might not be the best choice. So that is something that I do behind the scenes. Bill and Sharon were a little unsure of how to handle the joint account, so they haven't been adding into it, but know it is something they want to aggressively do in the future, but want guidance on how to invest the money and also how much to actually be putting in there and how they should think about that money going forward. The other big asset that they have is a home valued at $1.2 million. The other conversation piece I have when I am working with clients is, would you plan to sell the home and at what point, right? At some point, some clients sit here and say, I would sell the home or I would leave it to my children. We would sell it when we retire. So in this case, we have Bill and Sharon actually want to sell this when they retire, move into an assisted living facility, or take a little bit of time to travel before moving into an assisted living facility. Bill and Sharon also love to work, so they foresee themselves being a little bit of a later retiree. So that's why selling their home, moving into somewhere else is a possibility. They do have a $400,000 mortgage on the place, and that is factored in there. And you can see we look at interest rate, and I am analyzing everything as we go through it. So at age 40, Bill and Sharon Carr have a net worth of just over $1 million. So will they be able to achieve all of their needs, wants, and wishes? This is where we have some fun, and I can go into here and every client gets so excited when I pull up this Monte Carlo simulation. So it is running 1,000 trials and seeing, okay, what is the probability of success that all of these things could happen? So I always pause here and let everyone guess. So I will give you a second to guess. What do you think is the percent probability that Bill and Sharon will be able to achieve all of their wants and wishes? Okay, let's see. 0%. That is because Bill and Sharon, they're big spenders and they admit that, right? They know that things need to change. Otherwise, they are going to be in a tough spot later on. You can see this big jump right here. That is the home sale. So let's dive in and see, okay, what can they do to make this happen? So what happens is behind the scenes, I sit down and I say, okay, based on knowing their situation, knowing their personality, how they manage their cash flow, what changes do I think they would be willing to make in order to make their other dreams come to reality? So I have a lot of fun before I meet with the client, and I put together this what if scenario number 1. So then when I get on with clients, I sit down and we do what if scenario number 2. And what I do is I go line item by line item. We're going to do it together here and say, how does this change feel? Right? So you have this 0 probability of success. They need $7 million in order to make everything come to fruition. So the biggest one is that one of their accounts is not invested at the rate that's appropriate for where they are now, how they want to use the money, and their risk tolerance. So I also go line by line and does it make a change? Because in some situations, it will make a big leap, and in others, not as much of a difference. So here, not much of a difference. The other big change that I made for the Carr family is that I have them retiring later. They both love their jobs and are so passionate about what they do. So making this change, though, would allow them to retire at the same time, but a little later in life. So let's see how this change impacts it. Keep in mind now you're contributing longer to your retirement and savings accounts. You are able to delay Social Security, and you're also not drawing down your retirement as much. So that's why we see a big jump. That's $800,000, give or take. I'm not going to try and do the mental math, but that also puts a dent in things. So keep in mind, we also have the fact that they are not saving right now. So we will come back to the boat, but I want us to show and navigate what it looks like to max out their 401ks, but on the Roth side. And this is where I typically in a lot of plans see big changes occur is when we are paying the taxes now. Keep in mind that we are at historically low tax rates, and we've just have done a lot of economic spending. So regardless of political party or how you feel things are going, there is going to be a shift in tax rates at some point. So therefore, a lot of people prefer to pay the taxes now and have a Roth account than to wait. So let's see how this makes a change. So this is just for Sharon. So I'll show you Sharon, and then happens when we also add in Bill. So Sharon maxed it out. Look at that jump. Let's also add in our good friend Bill here. Where did he go? Okay. We'll have him max out, and then We are also going to make all of this a Roth contribution, which I did not do on this side. So let's see how much of a difference it does make for them. And the goal is to get us into the green zone, right? Which is 70 to 90% probability of success, because there are plenty of factors that I just can't predict. Maybe you get a large inheritance, maybe you win the lottery. Those things I can't factor in here, or you could get a raise that's above just your typical bump. Those are the things that I can't predict in there that we add as we update the plans every year. Now, just by maxing out their 401ks on the Roth side, from now until they retire, look at the difference that this has made. 61%. And yes, we have them also in this scenario retiring a couple of years later. So the other part was that they have this joint taxable account that they are not contributing to. So the reason we do the cash flow meeting together is to analyze and say, okay, if we need to pull extra dollars as I'm going through the plan and we need to invest them, how much do we have available and where would we be able to pull those funds from? So as I was going through everything, the Carr family realized that they could comfortably pull $48,000 a year, which is $4,000 a month, and reallocate it into a taxable portfolio. And now, drum roll please, let's take a look at what this factors into. And not every plan is this easy and simple. Sometimes there's more complexities to add, and we take a lot of deep dive into taxes, but I wanted to give you the overview today of what it looks like to be pulling these changes. And some people sit here and they're like, well, great, I can just go and get the software and do it myself. I will say that part of the expertise that comes into play of working with an advisor is that the advisor, whether it's myself or another one that you work with, should be able to navigate you a personal plan, right? This is based off of the cars, as we're calling them, and knowing what changes that you would be willing to make and also what changes are available to you. Yes, you could go down this entire line and go one by one, but I can tell you off the bat that just from experience, some of these are not going to make a big change. So if you are working with an advisor, they should be giving you the added value of knowing what's going to make the biggest impact, where you can make changes that work for your lifestyle. So that way you can be in this green zone like the Carr family is. So I want to thank you for joining me today, and I cannot wait to see you for another week of the Wealth Cafe. We have amazing guests and speakers coming for this year and 2025 and amazing content. So I am so excited to have you here, and I will see you next week.